Hello guys and welcome back to another video. This video will have spoilers and speculation about the ending of Legion and the events that follow forth after, so if you don't want to be spoiled whatsoever, please watch at your own peril or hop off of this video and I will catch you next time. So, based on the information that we have received regarding the end of Legion, we know that Sargeras is placed in stasis, but before this actually happens, Sargeras, with his last spiteful act, manages to stab Azeroth with his sword, causing a mighty wound in Silithus to erupt, causing the lifeblood of our Titan to ooze from the lance, thereby unleashing the powers of the blood of a Titan. Now in the dialogue we hear from Khadgar regarding this event, this is what he says.
The Legion is defeated, its master imprisoned. But in his final spiteful act, Sargeras may have doomed us all. Our world is wounded, champion. Its life essence seeps out into the sands, just as Magni foresaw. This mere drop of Argus blood surges with incredible power. The might of a Titan. If the blood of Azeroth also proves to be a source of such strength, those who seek to rule this world will stop at nothing to possess it. The days ahead may be dark indeed. For now, go to Silithus. Gaze upon the wound in the world with your own eyes. We will find a way to save Azeroth.
So in Legion, we see what the power of a Titan can do. It can help demons regenerate and once more be brought back to life at an accelerated pace and, much more other things. And also in the first event that we ever bore witness to with the power of Titan blood, such as in the Well of Eternity, which came to be when Aman'Thul ripped Y'Shaarj from the surface of the planet, we saw how the Well of Eternity was used to amplify arcane magic and how it even drew the attention of the Legion to our world. So great was the power that it actually held. So great yet feared was this power of the Well that even when Illidan used vials from the first Well of Eternity to create the second Well of Eternity, the Night Elves feared that it would once again give rise to another Burning Legion invasion, and so he was imprisoned for thousands of years with the dragon aspects erecting a world tree above the Well in order to suppress those with similar mindsets from abusing this font of power. With Sargeras' act in Legion, he has ultimately given rise to a new font of power, one of which is not suppressed and will be battled over by any of those who seek to use those powers for their own personal glory or gain. Most assume that since the impact is dealt onto Silithus, that Cthulhu will be the one most likely to achieve the power directly unto himself, greatly empowering him and freeing him from his Titan prison. However, let's not forget that in Legion, one thing that Blizzard did not fail to do was to bring in many old factions and characters back into the fold, not just characters who seem to be relevant consistently throughout the expansions. This really brings into mind that many factions and many enemies will return into the expansion following Legion and be attracted to the font of power which is being emitted from Azeroth's wound on Silithus, not just Cthulhu. So who might be vying for this font of power? Well, how about the Infinite Dragonflight? The Infinite Dragonflight is still a thing despite the death of Murozond at our hands during the end time. However, they have been quite MIA recently until very recently with the assassination attempts on Chromie. Now during this scenario, we don't exactly know who is responsible throughout the whole ordeal or even after we are done, but we have a very clear indicator that it might in fact be an agent of the Infinite Dragonflight due to a variety of factors. Number one, Chromie is attacked by numerous points in time in many timeways by various enemies, all with one objective in mind: her death. We do not prevent her death in one way, but in 8 different ways by many varying enemies including the Void, the Legion, the Undead, and even Elementals, plus even more enemies that I haven't even listed yet. Who would have the resources to actually calculate such a strategic attack on such a wide scale? The only enemies we have ever known to have the actual resource that can manipulate time is the Infinite Dragonflight. Number 2, Chromie literally says,
"Alright, I'm chronoporting us to a point 4 hours before the attack happens. That'll give us plenty of time to untangle this mess." Huh. That's weird. Something's blocking me from accessing that particular moment. No worries. 4 hours was probably too early anyways. Let's try 1 hour. Hi. Now I'm starting to get worried. Whoever orchestrated this attack really did their homework. They found a way to block my chronoports. Let's give this one last try. We meet again. I have a sneaking suspicion that the enemy is planning a cross-synchronous attack. Why else would they be using chrono shards, right? I can tell you're a little foggy on what that means. Basically, they're attacking me at multiple points in time simultaneously. These guys really know what they're doing. I wouldn't be surprised if they had a bronze dragon on their side.
I very much doubt that she would say this if Blizzard did not plan on having an infinite Dragonflight agent being the main culprit as to who is behind the actual attack. And number 3, the void entity that we faced when trying to prevent Chromie's death says, "Strange, what are you doing here?" with an extra emphasis on the you. This gives a very strong indicator that the person behind these coordinated attacks is someone that he recognizes in our party right now, and that is only us and Chromie. Also, in the Time Lost Keepsake boxes, there is a chance to drop some scribbled ravings that have this written on it. And what's even more interesting is that before you open the note itself, the tiny tooltip has a description that says that the handwriting is familiar. Now, a lot of people speculate that it is actually us, the player, behind this attack from a distant future, but to me this makes absolutely no sense whatsoever because we have no jurisdiction over time, so we would need help from a bronze dragon as powerful as Chromie who can still access the time ways, or we would have to access the time ways by other more difficult means. Also, the enemies who seek to kill her involve the undead, a crypt lord, the legion, the void, the Emerald Nightmare, the Elementals, and what else may have you. So why would they all be trying to kill Chromie and serve us by doing so, when we have devoted our entire history of Warcraft towards the undoing of these enemies? It doesn't really make sense. Also, if our present time selves in Legion work towards defending Chromie, yet our future selves in some future expansion work towards killing her, but we already know that in the past it ultimately has failed in the assassination attempt because we were defending her, then what would be the point since we already know that at the end it would ultimately achieve nothing since she would not be killed? Then again, Nostormu has said that time is a tangled web, and not everything is subject to be precisely as it is, so you could still argue that, which is also valid, but I think that there's a more likely culprit behind these attacks, an infinite Dragonflight version of Chromie. The infinite Dragonflight is still a thing as we saw during War Crimes, even after Murozond's death, and the familiar writing on the scroll as well as the void entity's recognition upon you aggroing him gives a pretty strong indicator that the person you are protecting may also be the person who is behind these attacks. But then, wouldn't this mean that if future Chromie attacked past Chromie, then future Chromie wouldn't exist? Well, like Nostormu said,
"Time is a tangled web. Try not to dwell on all the loose ends."
So why bring up all of this stuff with Chromie? Well, to show you that the infinite Dragonflight may be returning back into the fold. At the end of the Cataclysm, we see the dragon aspects giving up their powers and becoming much weaker as a result of this, but we also know, due to past events, that Nostormu is supposed to transform into Murozond sometime in the future. A being wielding the power with which to rival Nostormu, and even being able to block Nostormu from accessing the time ways. But if the present Nostormu is so weak and is yet supposed to transform into Murozond, how is he supposed to rival the powers of his former self, which is an aspect? Well, possibly through the Fount of Power, which is now exposed on Silithus. Through the lifeblood of Azeroth, the old gods will most likely deceive and corrupt Nostormu into taking up some of the powers for himself, thereby empowering himself to once more be near the power of what he once wielded, an aspect, if not even surpassing it. It would definitely make sense, especially with the emergence of the Chromie scenario, where it's most likely that an infinite Dragonflight agent is behind the attack. We also know Murozond will eventually overtake Nostormu. We know Nostormu will eventually become corrupted. What we do not know is how and when. This could possibly be the how. And what we have to make clear is that it's kind of unclear at the moment as to what the motives of the infinite Dragonflight is. We see them in the past constantly trying to mess up time and, you know, give us loot, and that's the only reason why we kill them, because we as the player just kill things that give us loot. But from what we can see, it is that they are trying to disrupt the time ways in order to help the old gods bring about the Hour of Twilight, which was so prevalent in the Cataclysm, in order to avoid an even worse fate from actually occurring. So what better time to do this than when the threat of the Void is more prevalent than ever, and the lifeblood of Azeroth is obtainable, and Cthulhu's prison is weakened. It all just seems to tie in very well with each other and really gives rise to the notion that this could be the time of where the infinite Dragonflight may be returning back into the fold, and of where Nostromo might actually be corrupted. Also, a very interesting line that I want to close this video on is Murozond's dying quote from End Time.
You know not what you have done, Amenthul. What I have seen.
Could this be Murozond referencing the Pantheon's effort of trying to imprison Sargeras, thereby causing Sargeras to wreak havoc on Azeroth by stabbing the planet and by causing this domino effect to begin with? Could he be saying this not because of what Amenthul did with Y'Shaarj ages past, but because of what he will inadvertently bring about by imprisoning Sargeras in Legion? I'll be fair on this point, I do really hope that this is what it is implying, and it certainly does make sense with everything that we have discussed in the video and with the events, that are giving rise to what's happening right now. But I also don't think that Blizzard has the consistency and the foresight to bring this about. There have been a lot of contradictions and retcons since the Cataclysm, and hell, even from the first Chronicle volume to current date Legion lore, so it'd be very strange to have them nail that one line by Murozond dead on, but then retcon so many other things. It's still possible though, and I personally hope that Murozond and the Infinite Dragonflight does in fact return with the fall of the Legion. What better time to arise? That draws an end to today's video, ladies and gents. If you did enjoy the video, make sure you hit the notification bell next to the sub button so you can stay caught up with the channel. And once again guys, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I will see you all later.